KSP partnership, we are big on the subject of culture. So when I was asked what makes a cultural transformation, I thought this is awesome. This is an opportunity to really dive deep. Some of you have already been with us on occasion, and some of you are new. So I'm going to just really quickly recap the definition of a culture. In KSP context, culture is defined this way. A culture is a commonly held set of beliefs, a commonly expected types of behaviors, and a commonly understood and agreed upon context. The thing is, in order to change the behavior, you have to change the underlying belief. When I first started working as an independent, I was so excited, and I got my first assignment at a car manufacturing plant. Interestingly enough, it had nothing to do with the cars and it had nothing to do with the manufacturing. Instead, what they wanted us to do was to help their creative team get a better understanding of the structure of project management. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think creative, I do not automatically leap for the next word to be structure. So I was a little nervous, but I was game. After all, that's what the client wanted. Customer-focused deliverable, don't you know? So I trundle on down, get myself into the room at least an hour ahead of time. I'm kind of a thing about punctuality. And 8 o'clock came. That was supposed to be the start time of the class, but I wasn't too worried because day one, honestly, you almost never have everybody in the room. And sometimes you don't have anybody in the room. But I was worried at 8:15 when I was still the only person in the room. So I left my room, wandered down the hallway, and asked the person in the office, was there any error or anything? Because it's about 8:15. And so far, I'm the only person in the room with books, desks, and chairs. And she said, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. You see, she went on to explain, our creative group has a very specific culture, and their main values are around creativity and collaboration and communication, the spark that can happen in ad hoc conversations. Clock? Not so much. Oh, okay. She said, look, if in 10 minutes nobody shows up, come and get me because I think I know where they are. As a matter of fact, did you pass a number of little like couples and trios of folks in the hallway to get to this room from your room? And I said, yes, I did. She said, yeah, those are your students. They ran into each other in the hallway. They started conversations. They started a train of thought, and they're now excitedly following it down the road. And I got it. Sure enough, in the next 10 minutes, all 25 people filed in, chit-chatting still and talking. Because in an environment, in a culture that prizes collaboration, creativity, communications, but especially ad hoc conversations, trust me when I say, trying to shift their behavior and transform that culture into something that values the clock ahead of any of those things or instead of any of those things, well, that's just not going to work. It's a behavior. Punctuality is a behavior, but it's rooted in a particular belief. From my perspective, punctuality has always been rooted in a concept that I don't have the right to waste your time. And if I'm not punctual, I am spending your time and adding insult to injury without your permission. So address the underlying beliefs. And you can start in a somewhat unusual way. As you watch your colleagues and teammates go through the day, get through a Zoom call or a Adobe Connect call, keep an eye on those kinds of behaviors that you see that are common to more than one or two people. Then ask yourself, would I have done anything differently in the same situation? And if you would, examine why. Why would they do it this way and then you would do it this way? And if you would have done the exact same thing, again, ask yourself, what does that tell me about the culture of our team? What does that tell me about the operating environment that we're all working in? Just in case, by the way, do a sanity check and ask somebody that you trust who will give you candid information and feedback. But most particularly, somebody who has kind of an inclination to think about motivations anyway. Then start looking at what it is that the cultural transformation is supposed to achieve. Because every cultural transformation generally has a goal. Yes, we're going to set out to do this big thing to change an entire culture. Well, there's got to be a good reason. Be very clear about what that reason is. You see, as I've said in previous video lessons about culture and cultural transformation, your culture is going to transform. It's going to evolve. The question is, without your present active decisions being part of that evolution or that transformation, are you going to be happy with what you end up with? Because in so many cases, unfortunately, we're not. We didn't come up with the tagline of culture by choice, productivity by design without a fair amount of thought. We wanted you to know why we think it works. And it's building a culture by choice and transforming the culture that currently exists in incremental steps so that you can get to the point where the culture supports your team members as they create better products, shorter timelines, possibly even meet budget a little bit more stringently, but most of all, deliver what the client wants and needs in a way that is absolutely guaranteed to help build the relationship between your team, your organization, and the client. That's what we mean by productivity by design. Leadership-driven project management is founded on the strength and nature of relationships. And that includes the relationships between you and everybody else in the organization. So remember these following tips. 1, figure out what kinds of behaviors you're seeing in common. Expected behaviors. If anybody did something else, it would have actually startled a few people. 2, figure out the why. What is it? What belief is it that underlies that behavior? And then 3, figure out where you want to go so that you can start measuring the delta between where we are right now and where we could be if we just refined the belief that underlies that behavior. We always like to make sure that we deliver some tips or suggestions, some helpful hints for you to think about. So if you enjoy either the topic or the tips or both, please make sure that you've liked and subscribed. And if you think somebody you know might enjoy these, please pass it along. Make sure to give them the opportunity to explore here. We love having you here. I'm Kimi Hirotsu-Zimski, and this video was brought to you by Leadership Driven Project Management Academy. Thanks for joining us.